What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. And in this season, we have a ton of stuff that I can talk about. I mean, we have so many different things going on with each individual team, with players, who is trending up, who is trending down. And so this video is inspired by a comment on yesterday's video. And if the topic's interesting enough, if it's important enough, I will cover it. Let me know what you guys want to see videos on. Who you want me to talk about? Who is, flying under the radar? What issues or major topics are flying under the radar for you? Let me know what those are. And this video, of course, it's about Derrick Rose. And this is a guy that, as we all know, and I wasn't able to initially cover this, but this is someone that is away from his team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, after injuring his ankle against the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it was like a month ago. And initially, he sprained his ankle. He was going to come back like in a game or two, and then, he sat out more and more games. And eventually, we started hearing, Derrick Rose is away from the team. He's evaluating his future as an NBA player. And while there are some people that, might be thinking like, okay, this is a guy that just barely signed to a team for a year, $1 million, the minimum veteran minimum contract. It's not that important. This is still pretty important. Derrick Rose is still a player that gets a ton of attention because of who he used to be, and a guy that I believe he's only 29 years old. A lot of people think that he's older than that, or it seems like he's older than that because it felt like so long that he was out. And Derrick Rose, even though he's been out a while, he's still a guy that can play. He gave the Knicks 18 points per game as a third guy, which scoring-wise isn't bad. I mean, he shot pretty well from the field, but in general, Derrick Rose is a guy that can still score the basketball well, especially inside. And the thing that has always derailed Derrick Rose, as we know, is the injuries. And at this point, he's thinking, man, I came into this season saying, look, I want to play 82 games. I want a fresh start. And then, just a few games in, he's injured. And now he's out for an extended period of time. And he's thinking, man, I can't play 20 games. I can't play 15 games without getting injured. What am I going to do? And, you got to feel for him, because this is a guy that at age 22 was the league's MVP. And after that, it would all go downhill, and we would never know what Derrick Rose could have eventually been. And for me, I know it just as well as anybody, because I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. I witnessed firsthand the rise and fall of Derrick Rose, and I know just how tragic that was when you look at what the guy was doing at his age, how he was transcending the game. The guy was unstoppable as a point guard in a way athletically that we had never seen from that position. And he was a guy that won MVP, of course, at the youngest age in NBA history. So Derrick Rose knows that, and he is fully aware of the player that he could have been. And every season, he's just trying to get back. He's just trying to at least help his team win. And every season since then, he's come in like, look, I gotta start getting back to who I was. And then coming into this season, I think he was just thinking about, man, I just gotta be out there. I just gotta help my team win. That's what I want to do. I want to make my teammates better. I want to be a beneficial player. I want to just be solid rather than trying to get all the way back to who I was so many years ago. And if you think about it, I mean, that injury happened 5+ years ago. It happened in 2012 playoffs. And at this point, we're going into 2018 now. So that was a long time ago, almost 6 years ago. And even though Derrick Rose can still play, he's probably not feeling great about himself, the state of his career, just looking back and seeing what it could have been. Because it's a lot like Brandon Roy, the guy that we like to mention all the time when we think about superstars that never were, that full-time, legendary, all-time great player. Tracy McGrady is another guy who actually, kind of fulfilled that a little bit more, but still, his career was completely tainted by injuries. He was a guy that could have been one of the single greatest players to ever touch a basketball, legacy-wise, if he had stayed healthy. Now, the question here is about what Derrick Rose is doing, and it's, should Derrick Rose retire from the NBA? And it's really hard to say this, but I honestly think that he should. And the reason why is because Derrick Rose is never going to be satisfied playing 40, 50 games a year. He's always going to have to deal with injuries. He's a guy that he's tried so hard to play full seasons, and he just can't. His body just can't hold up. And obviously, Derrick Rose isn't Derrick Rose without that athleticism, that explosiveness, the signature style of himself. You know, you could say, oh, look, Derrick Rose, just, you know, don't be as aggressive. Don't use your legs to jump as high. Just play really, you know, calm like Andre Miller. Like, just low to the ground and just play smart. Well, you can't do that. Derrick Rose is 29 years old. He's been in the NBA for 10 years. This isn't a guy that you can just say, okay, let's just change your game. He's going to play how he plays. You can't reinvent the style of someone's game at this point. You can't say, oh, let's just turn Derrick Rose into a shooter. He's going to play how he plays regardless, okay? He may not have that same bounce and explosiveness that he had in his MVP days, but he is still going to play with that, even if it's just kind of a shell of what he was before. That's still his calling card. He's still a guy that can get by a defense very easily, and a very explosive player. Now, why am I saying he should retire if he still has skills? Look, Derrick Rose literally left the league, left his team because of an ankle injury, one that isn't nearly as severe as the so many other injuries he's had in the past. I mean, he's torn his meniscus twice. He's torn his ACL. He's had these big injuries that have kept him out for extended periods of time, 6 months plus, multiple times, and it's been so hard on him. However, you know, if he comes in and with this first injury, he's thinking, man, like I just can't do this anymore. What do you think's going to happen if he comes back, plays 10 games, and does it again? Or, God forbid, injures himself worse? I mean, if he can't handle this, and look, there's no problem with that when you've gone through as much as Derrick Rose has gone through, injury-wise, even an injury like that, you know, it's a big hit because you're trying to, I mean, he's thinking so hard about what he was. It doesn't seem like he's happy playing anymore. And if he's going to get injured like this, I don't think he's going to be happy playing 60, 50, 40 games just because he wants to be out there all the time, and he just can't handle this. And he's just, let's just face it, he's not going to be devoid of injury. You can't just flip a switch and have Derrick Rose play every single game. It's really hard to see how he fits on his team right now, how he stays healthy. I don't see it happening and working out. And it's really tough to say, but, you know, if Derrick Rose was getting an injury like this and handling it like he had before, I wouldn't be saying it. But the guy's in a bad place mentally because of this. In terms of basketball, he's really not feeling good about his career because of this ankle injury, but not just because of the injury, but because of everything. But every injury he has after this is just going to keep adding on. It's going to pile on more and more and more, and he's going to have to rely on himself, put pressure on himself to play full seasons, to play 60 straight games or whatever. I mean, that's really hard to do. He did it this year. He said, I want to play 82 games, and he's thinking like, man, I just can't get injured, and he already gets injured. And it's not, you can't rely on it to stop at this point. You have to assume Derrick Rose is going to get an injury, and that just sounds horrible, and it is. And it's like, it's just such a shame, but I don't really see how this guy's going to be happy playing in the NBA ever again, you know, while using this athleticism the way he's doing it. It's such a shame, but I personally think that it would be best for him to just call it quits on a career that, you know, we will always remember as a career that should have been more than it was, and that's that. So, you know, that's my opinion on Derrick Rose right now. What do I think is going to happen with Derrick Rose? It's really hard to say. I would actually be kind of surprised if he just said, look, I'm retiring, because that seems sudden. That seems that's like what they do in football. You don't really see that in basketball from a guy that could definitely still play on an NBA roster. However, I don't think he's going to be coming back anytime soon. I'll say that. Maybe he might do what Larry Sanders did, honestly. I could see that happening. That would make more sense. I don't think Larry Sanders, I don't think he went to retirement immediately. I think, he just took a break, or he called it later. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you're new. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.